The day his white moonlight returned, my husband tossed me a check, 1 million, divorce. In my past life, I took it as an insult, tore up the check and walked away with nothing. This time, I held up 5 fingers, 100 million, a penny less would insult true love. Fu Yun's face darkened. Su Qingqing, don't push your luck. I immediately turned to Lin Shuang standing beside him. Shuangjia, this man's not worth keeping if he balks at a mere 100 million, clearly. He doesn't think you're worth the price. Lin Shuang shot me a dagger glare before directing her resentment toward Fu Yun. Fu Yun, ever concerned with appearances, glared at me venomously. Fine, 100 million, but we'll divorce only after the company secures the project. Until then, you won't do anything to tarnish my reputation. 1. I vaguely recall there was a project in my past life that directly impacted the group's future development. Fu Yun took it extremely seriously. I nodded in understanding and splayed my fingers open again. Make it another 100 million. A vein throbbed on Fu Yun's forehead. Su Qingqing, have you no shame? Lin Shuang chimed in mockingly. Su Qingqing, know your place. Do you really think you're worth that price? I gasped. What? So Sister Shuang means the title of Mrs. Fu isn't even worth 200 million. As for dignity, when CEO Fu and Sister Shuang were getting all cozy, did they care about saving face? Their faces turned ashen. Eyes smoldering with suppressed rage. Oh come on, don't be shy, I get it. When sparks fly, relax, show me the money and I'll be your love bodyguard pronto. Fu Yun was furious. Su Qingqing, where's your backbone? Would you really sacrifice your dignity for money? I misjudged you. I thought you had principles, that you were different from those gold diggers. Turns out you're cut from the same cloth. The class gap between Fu Yun and me was enormous. Everyone said I wasn't good enough for him, calling me a gold-digging schemer who was obviously after his money. To prove my pride and dignity, I refused every penny from Fu Yun beyond basic living expenses, never asking for luxury items. Here I was married to a CEO, yet still slaving away at a measly $300-month job. Looking back, I was the world's biggest damn fool. I scratched my ear casually. President Fu, expect the full amount wired tomorrow, not a cent short. With that, I pulled out a box of Huiyuan kidney tonic from my bag and shoved it into Lin Shuang's hands. Shuangjia, it'll do him good, and you too. Hilarious, a CEO needing kidney supplements at his age, who'd want that? As a complete orphan with no connections, the only reason I could marry Fu Yun was this face of mine, a dead ringer for Lin Shuang's. Little did I know, I mistook it for Cinderella's fairy tale romance coming true. Everything changed when Lin Shuang returned from abroad, stormed into my home, slapped me across the face, and crushed my fingers under her heel while sneering, "You counterfeit trash, how dare you stand beside Fu Yun?" That's when I realized I'd been someone's stand-in for 3 years. 3 years ago, Lin Shuang refused marriage and fled abroad out of spite. In retaliation, Fu Yun married me, a mere replacement, just to provoke her. They were playing games of pride, but I gave my heart sincerely. I refused the divorce, bending over backward to save our marriage, pleading with Fu Yun to remember our 3 years together and not abandon me. Yet he tossed me a check, saying, "We were husband and wife. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. At your current salary, it'd take over 30 years of starving yourself to save $1 million. I'm being more than generous." I refused to accept it. Sobbing that he was insulting my dignity and the love I had for him, Lin Shuang rolled her eyes. "You're clearly after A Yun's money. Stop pretending to be innocent." With tear-reddened eyes, I said to Fu Yun, "A Yun, I truly love you. I'll prove it to you." I tore up the check and walked away with nothing. To make ends meet, I worked days and delivered takeout at night. In the end, it was that extra 5 yuan delivery fee that cost me everything. Exhausted behind the wheel, I got T-boned by a semi. After death, my spirit drifted straight to Fu Yun's side. I wanted to see if Fu Yun would wallow in guilt when he learned how I died, if he'd weep buckets for me. After all, I was his pure-hearted little daisy, loving the man not his money. Turns out I was kidding myself. My death only earned me 10 seconds of his hesitation before he snapped his phone shut and took Lin Shuang to the gala. I was so furious my soul died a second death. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself reborn on the very day he asked for divorce. Fine. If innocent love isn't your thing, I'll show you what a gold digger really looks like. The next morning, I got the deposit notification, but when I saw the amount, my face instantly fell. Just 5 million. That's it. I called Fu Yun demanding an explanation. Fu Yun said, "What if you break your word and tarnish my reputation after taking the money?" Su Qingqing, this project is crucial. I'll meet your demands. And I hope you'll understand my concerns. Alright, I understand, too, fine then. Director Fu, please write me an IOU with the repayment date clearly stated. Late payments will incur interest at the bank loan rate. The line went silent for a long moment before Fu Yun finally spoke. Ching, when did we become so distant? You used to call me a Yun. Fine then, a Yun, draw up an IOU for me, with a clear repayment date. Late payments will accrue interest at the bank's lending rate. His breathing became noticeably ragged before Fu Yun gritted out, Su Ching. Don't push your luck, could it be President Fu is trying to weasel out of paying? Just so you know, I recorded our conversation from yesterday. An affair during marriage isn't really a big deal, but if word gets out that young Mr. Fu needs kidney supplements already, well, TSK, Fu Yun snapped, shut up, I'll give you the IOU later. He angrily hung up the phone. That hit the spot, huh? How did I not see what a scheming bastard he was in my past life? Figures. What kind of decent man would marry a stand-in anyway, trying to play the emotional card to scam me? Dream on. 3 days passed, but the IOU still hadn't arrived. I couldn't wait any longer and went straight to his office. Just my luck, Lin Shuang was in his office too, with 3 buttons undone on her white blouse. She was perched on his desk, arms draped around Fu Yun's neck, walking in on that scene. Honestly, I was the more embarrassed one. Oh, the door wasn't locked properly. So I just came right in. In that case, I'll come back after you're done. No rush, Mr. Fu, take your time, I can wait. I quickly stepped out and thoughtfully closed the door behind me. 5 minutes later, Lin Shuang stormed out with palpable resentment, shooting me a dagger-like glare before hissing, Su Ching. Fu Yun is mine, you'll never take him back. I immediately grabbed her arm, sobbing dramatically, Sister Shuang, you've got it all wrong. I want to leave, it's Fu Yun who won't let me. I'm terrified he'll change his mind and refuse to release me. Please, Sister Shuang, I'm begging you, convince him to just let me take the money and go. Still weeping theatrically, I seized the chance to wipe my snotty nose on her outrageously expensive fur coat. Lin Shuang's face turned livid with rage. Gee, get away from me. Fine, I'm leaving. At least I managed to gross her out. I've figured it out. Instead of seeking revenge and locking horns with her, I'll just go batshit crazy and mess her up. In the office, Fu Yun looked terrible with dark circles under his eyes. I couldn't help reminding him, Mr. Fu, don't forget to take your kidney tonic pills on time. Fu Yun's expression darkened further, his eyes flashing with irritation. What brings you to the company? To get your written commitment, Su Ching. Don't push your luck. Do you really think I'd run away? I said earnestly, Mr. Fu, I wasn't worried before, but seeing you like this, well, a man's vitality isn't limitless. You should pace yourself. Fu Yun slammed the table angrily. Get out. I pointed at the floor. Roll out like a ball. Sure thing. Tucking my head, I rolled to the door and back, grinning, satisfied. Mr. Fu, if so, how about writing that IOU? Thanks. If you're not satisfied, I'll go roll in the dirt a couple more times. No pain, no gain. As I walked out of the office building holding the IOU, I knew every hardship had been worth it. Going batshit crazy works wonders. 2 weeks later, at the group's 10th anniversary celebration, Fu Yun asked me to accompany him. I agreed without hesitation. 3, sure, but remember, the gown, shoes, jewelry, plus facials and pedicures, all those little expenses are on you, Mr. Fu. Consider them legitimate business costs. In my past life, terrified of being labeled materialistic, I'd never splurge on my appearance. At every event, blending in was enough. Standing out never crossed my mind. Things are different now. Since the divorce is happening anyway, might as well spend someone else's money, buy what I want and enjoy life while I can. Happiness isn't meant to be enjoyed alone. So I called up my best friend Yang Jiao, my dear Jiao, the person I wronged most in my past life. Jiao was also an orphan. We grew up together in the same institution, becoming each other's only family in this world. When a Jew learned I was getting divorced, she went all out to help me, even hiring a private investigator to gather evidence of Fu Yun's infidelity, hoping to secure my rights. Yet I handed that evidence straight to Fu Yun, just to prove my love, that I couldn't bear to ruin him, even with proof in hand. Secretly, I hoped Fu Yun would be shocked, moved, have an epiphany, and beg me to reconcile. A classic heart-wrenching chasing his wife through hell drama. Well, he did chase me, with a baseball bat, trying to drive me out of the house. Because of this, Fu Yun held a grudge against a Jew and got her fired. A Jew called me stupid, accused me of being lovesick, and said I deserved being dumped by Fu Yun. Furious, I yelled back, "Is it wrong to truly love someone?" We parted on bad terms and never spoke again until my death, but when I died in that car accident, Agio was the first to claim my body, cremate me, and lay me to rest. That day, I stood right beside her as she burned Joss paper, sobbing while calling me a love-struck fool. Her scolding dissolved into broken sobs until she choked out, "Ching ching, come back, I'll never yell at you again." Later, Agio avenged me by exposing Fu Yun's affair with Lin Shuang online, slamming the aspiring actress as a homewrecker, then filing against the Fu conglomerate for tax evasion, crashing their stock. Fu Yun harbored hatred towards a Jew, bribing men to kidnap her to a desolate area and violate her innocence. With no one to turn to and consumed by anguish, a Jew deliberately ran over Fu Yun and Lin Shuang with her car before turning herself in. A Jew, "This is all my fault, don't worry, I won't let you down this time." When a Jew learned I planned to take her shopping with Fu Yun's money, she panicked and wanted to drag me to see a mystic, convinced I'd been possessed. Back then, I had to save 2 months' salary just to buy Agio that gold bracelet worth several thousand as a birthday gift. Looking at the supplementary card in my hand, I sighed. Youth was wasted on the young. Now I've seen the light. Agio hugged me through happy tears. I finally have a sugar mommy bestie. Spend it all. That scumbag used you as a rebound. Our Ching Ching's youth is worth far more than the chump change in his pockets. That afternoon, we spent money like water, splurging on whatever caught our fancy. Pure bliss. Then out of nowhere, Lin Shuang showed up. Seeing Agio and me loaded with shopping bags, Lin Shuang sneered, "Just as I thought. You were always after Brother Yun's money, you gold digger, not just greedy, but playing charity cases too." Su Ching Ching. Brother Yun works hard for his money. Did he even agree to you wasting it on random strays? What? You really think Brother Yun is your personal ATM? Go return those things right now. A Jew snapped back, "Oh, if the actual wife doesn't qualify, then who does? You, his mistress. Let me see what you bought." As she spoke, a Jew grabbed at Lin Shuang's shopping bag, causing a black card to fall out, with Fu Yun's signature on the back. "Oh my, a diamond watch worth over $1 million, Ching Ching. Call the police, this was bought with your marital assets." Lin Shuang shoved a Jew away angrily. "Who's the homewrecker? The unloved one is. Brother Yun has made things clear with her. She has no right to spend his money." A Jew was about to argue further. I grabbed a Jew's arm, then suddenly slapped myself across the face and collapsed to my knees, weeping. "Sister Shuang Shuang, I was so wrong. How could I, as a wife, dare spend my husband's money? Every penny of his belongs to you. I'm guilty. I don't deserve to live. I'll just go die now." My outburst instantly drew everyone's attention. Agio truly is my ride or die, totally bewildered but never breaking character. 4. The world's gone mad. A wife gets scolded by the mistress just for spending her own husband's money. Is this the collapse of morality or the distortion of human nature? The crowd immediately gathered to spectate, with some even pulling out their phones to record. Hilarious. Fu Yun only cared about protecting his own reputation. Never mind Lin Shuang's. Whatever. We're both in sportswear with no makeup today. Who'd recognize us tomorrow after we glam up? But Lin Shuang's different. Her polished outfit makes her instantly recognizable. Sure enough, Lin Shuang panicked, snatched her card, and bolted without even noticing the designer bags she dropped. I immediately scooped them up, brand new authentic pieces. Easy money. Glancing back, I saw Agio still staring at me dumbfounded. Damn, did my crazy act scare a Jew? Well, I won't act crazy anymore. A Jew snapped out of it, shaking her head vigorously with sparkling eyes. No no no, Ching Ching, I absolutely love it when you go wild, just as I expected. Fu Yun called that evening to chew me out for causing a scene at the mall. I sent him a photo of myself lying in the hospital bed, saying weakly and pitifully, "Fu Yun, I swear to heaven, in 3 years of marriage, have I ever asked you for designer goods? Have I ever demanded a single Chanel piece? Today, Sister Shuang accused me of being a gold digger right to my face, said I only married you for money. I can't go on like this, I really can't. God knows I love you for who you are." The shock was too much. I might need to stay hospitalized longer than expected. Fu Yun replied impatiently. Then what about our anniversary celebration? Clearing my throat with difficulty, I said, surely President Fu wouldn't make me attend while sick. What if delirium makes me say something inappropriate? Why not send Sister Shuang instead? She's prettier and more diplomatic than me. Asterisk cough asterisk. Never mind what others think, true love conquers all. With that, I moved to hang up. 5 million more, Fu Yun gritted out. Accompany me to the anniversary gala. We'll divorce immediately after the project's finalized. My energy instantly revived. Cash up front for those 5 mil, you've got my account details, mark it as a gift, Su Ching Ching, you're ruthless. Minutes later, 5 million hit my bank account, posted on my feed. Not even illness can dampen my passion for work. Before we knew it, the anniversary celebration arrived. As I descended the staircase unhurriedly in my haute couture gown, I caught the momentary freeze in Fu Yun's gaze. Just as expected, men are creatures ruled by their baser instincts. I've since moved out of his villa and am staying with a Jew now, counting the days. It's been over half a month since we last met. In my past life, I was too busy brewing soups for him to ever doll myself up properly, but when I do dress up, as a Jew puts it, my curves put Lin Shuang's flat figure to shame. Arm in arm with Fu Yun, I stepped onto the stage, smiling as I listened to his speech and watched him gaze at me tenderly, perfectly playing the role of a devoted husband. For a fleeting moment, I remembered the joyful times we shared when we first started dating. Back then, he would cook congee for me when I had gastritis. He'd spend entire afternoons doing crafts with me on my birthdays. He'd even blush while whispering I love you to me at midnight on New Year's Eve. Money never played a part in our relationship. That's precisely why I knew his feelings were genuine, not some rich boy's passing fancy. But alas, those beautiful moments were just moonlit reflections on water. His true moon hung in another sky. Doesn't matter. He gazes at his moon, while I keep my head down counting bills. With the speech concluded, everyone mingled freely. Fu Yun dragged me into a side room. Su Ching Ching, come home tonight. 3 years of marriage breeds certain unspoken understanding. Look how desperate he's acting. Could it be Lin Shuang isn't satisfying her? President Fu, still craving me? Fu Yun gave a stiff nod. Fine. 5 million for one night. Fu Yun trembled with rage. Su Ching Ching, have you completely lost your shame? 5 million for one night. Just who do you think you are? We're married, this is how it should be. That comment made my blood pressure spike. Mr. Fu, surely you understand. Why should a wife unconditionally cater to your every whim? What have you ever given me? A bride price, a car, a house, nothing. All you've given me is a marriage certificate that could be revoked any moment. When I think about it, what does being Mrs. Fu even mean? Fu Yun turned livid with rage, spitting out 3 consecutive fine. Su Ching Ching, if you didn't resemble Shuang, do you really think I'd bother with a woman like you? I gave you your chance, blame yourself for squandering it. Don't you dare lay a finger on me ever again. 5, wow, I must have hit the jackpot. I clasped my hands devoutly, finally free from catering to those kidney tonic chugging men. Fu Yun completely lost it, storming off with a darkened face. After dealing with the socialites, I found a quiet corner by the pool. A shawl suddenly drifted down. Turning my head, I saw a strikingly handsome face come into view. Sis, don't catch a chill. Something smells fishy here. Sure enough, after adding me on WeChat, this guy named Ji Dong started messaging me every other day. He doesn't talk much, mostly just good morning and good night texts. Occasionally sending outfit pics asking for my opinion, but he's very active on social media, like posting a photo of airplane trails with the caption, "Wonder what big sis is doing right now," or snapping a garden full of roses captioned, "No bloom in this garden compares to that glance you gave me over your shoulder." Sometimes it's a hazy moon photo with, "If I could admire this moon with you, I'd probably grin like a love-struck fool." On my birthday, he finally called and tentatively asked if he could take me out to dinner. The request felt abrupt, unlike his usual reserved demeanor, but I said yes. We met at a garden clubhouse. 6, bathed in golden sunlight, he stood there in a white shirt, breeze tousling his fringe, waving at me with a warm smile. This inexplicably reminded me of Fu Yun from back then. "Happy birthday, sis." He handed me a bouquet of flowers. I was surprised. "How did you know it's my birthday today?" He smiled mysteriously. "Because you're always on my mind." I accepted the flowers silently, feeling the ghost of his warm fingertips brushing against my hand. Emboldened by my lack of resistance, he poured 2 glasses of red wine. "May you stay forever young, healthy, and happy." Taking the wine glass, I swirled it gently with a self-deprecating smile. Who'd have thought someone still remembered my birthday? "You seem upset, sis," he said tenderly. "Wanna talk about it? I hate seeing you like this." I hesitated before sighing. Wealthy marriages aren't something you can explain in just a few words. He paused briefly before flashing a big smile. Sis, it's okay, I'm here with you. I know being the CEO's wife looks glamorous, but it's exhausting. At the banquet that night, when I saw your weary shoulders, I couldn't stop myself from wanting to protect you from all storms. I know this is presumptuous, and I'll never measure up to Mr. Fu. I'm not asking for status or permanence. I just want to stay by your side, be your loyal companion, and make you happy. My eyes darkened. You'd really shelter me from storms. He raised 3 fingers. I swear on my life, truer than truth itself. Then wire me $1 million first. Sis here likes to budget. $1 million a month will do just fine. Adam's beaming smile suddenly cracked like he'd been struck by lightning. Sis, why must you break my heart like this? I may not have $1 million, but I've got a heart that loves you fiercely, one that'd fight to the death for you. But today's lack doesn't mean tomorrow's. I'll prove I can provide for you. When that day comes, may I call you Ching Ching. Here's to our future. Sis, wish me luck. I set down the glass and wept into my hands. Adam, I'm so moved. I've lost my composure. Could you turn around for a moment? He stepped forward. You can lean on my shoulder. Sis, I shook my head. No, please let me keep some dignity. I never thought I'd find true love in this lifetime. Let me cry for just 1 minute, please. Unable to refuse my plea, Ji-dong turned away. A minute later, I asked him to turn back, then lifted my glass with glistening eyes. Adong, to our bright future. Cheers. When Ji-dong saw me drink, his eyes lit up like mine do at the sight of stacks of cash. 7. After just 1 drink, I swayed dizzily and collapsed sideways. Ji-dong quickly caught me, whispering by my ear, feeling lightheaded. Sis, there's a bed inside, let me help you rest. Though phrased as a question, his movements betrayed no hesitation. After tossing me onto the bed, he immediately pulled a camera from the cabinet and aimed it at me. Without a hint of panic, I murmured lazily from bed, Adong, you're playing quite wild tonight, aren't you scared? Sis, scared of what? I propped my head up. We're already here. Did you really think we'd skip that part? You'd better take good care of me, though I wonder if you're up to the task. Ji-dong was flustered. Aren't you afraid President Fu will find out? So what if he does? If he can't satisfy me, why shouldn't I look elsewhere? You know how these wealthy marriages work. Come on, Adong. Drop the act. You're just after my body and money, right? Don't worry. Sis could use someone like you around. Do well, and there'll be rewards, though judging by your scrawny frame, you're probably not worth much anyway. 500 for the night. Deal. Strip first. Let me inspect the goods to see if you're worth 500. Ji-dong's expression visibly darkened. He finally snapped when I questioned whether he was worth 500. Big sis, you're really pushing it. My standard rate starts at 100K per job. For this deal, Director Fu paid me $1 million, and you're offering 500. Dream on. What? No way, I gasped. Fu Yun paid you $1 million. Is he out of his mind? You're not worth that much. I don't buy it. Absolutely impossible. Fu Yun's got better judgment than that. You're lying through your teeth. Who's lying? Here's Director Fu's transfer record right here. See. Ji-dong shoved his phone in my face aggressively. Open your eyes wide and look carefully. I'm damn well worth $1 million. My God, Fu Yun actually gave you $1 million. What does he want you to do with that kind of money? Obviously to manipulate you, to make you cheat on your marriage. Ji-dong suddenly covered his mouth in panic. Why, you were supposed to be drugged. How are you still coherent enough to trick me? I smirked coyly. Because you're dumb, obviously. Did he really think I wouldn't notice him slipping that powder from his sleeve into my drink behind my back? He actually believed throwing me a birthday party would melt my heart. Please, unlike those naive romantic fools, my first instinct is to question his shady motives. I smashed the glass as our signal. The next second, Ajo barged in wielding a beer bottle. Ji-dong found himself tied to a chair by me and Ajo. Under Ajo's threat of smashing his skull open, he spilled the whole story. Just as I suspected, Fu Yun sent him to bait me into making mistakes. After sealing the deal, they'd slap me with adultery charges to leave me penniless in the divorce. Faced with their ironclad evidence, even if I produced old recordings or Fu Yun's IOUs, they'd still claim I fabricated everything. My blood boiled hearing this. I knew Fu Yun was scum, but I never imagined he'd stoop this low without shame. After sharing his bed for 3 years as his wife, he actually hired someone to frame me just to avoid paying me a dime. Damn it, I should have agreed that night and cut his dick off while he was asleep. Ajo wanted to call the police, but I stopped her. With Fu Yun's connections, reporting this would be pointless. Just like when Ajo tried in vain last time, I tapped the trembling Ji Dong with my liquor bottle. Hey Xiao Ji, want to make 2 million? Ji Dong's eyes immediately lit up. Seriously, you need me to be a mole, smart kid. Catching on quick, I nodded. Help me trick Fu Yun into thinking I've fallen for his trap, use our dating as pretext to squeeze money out of him, we'll split whatever we get 50-50, and I'll throw in another million afterward. I waved my phone. No funny business, I've got your confession on video. The cops can't touch Fu Yun, but you, gone with one call. What nonsense. Ji Dong suddenly turned righteous. How could I ever cross my own father, right before my eyes? Ji Dong sent Fu Yun several photos of me lying in bed, committed to the act. I holed up at Ajo's place for days without stepping out. Meanwhile, Ji Dong stood vigil downstairs daily, clutching flowers like clockwork while gazing upward. On a stormy night, I finally descended with an umbrella and brought the drenched Ji Dong upstairs. The next day, we embarked on our European trip together, with Ajo trailing behind sporting oversized sunglasses. Ji Dong reports our whereabouts to Fu Yun daily, sending photos and videos of us holding hands while casually asking for travel funds. Fu Yun stingily handed over 500,000 yuan, telling us to visit low-key destinations with affordable prices, worried our high-profile behavior might expose my identity. With the project finalization underway, scandals are the last thing Mrs. Fu can afford right now. Fine. 500,000 is tight but should barely cover our expenses. A month flew by before we finalized the project partnership. I later caught Fu Yun's interview about the venture in financial news. Just like that, the project got greenlit. Fu Yun's recall call found our trio soaking up tropical sun, beach vibes, and those sculpted abs. We packed up pronto at the summons. In wealthy families, there's never a shortage of two things, money and lavish parties. Right on cue, Fu Yun threw a celebration banquet to mark their successful project collaboration. The guest list read like Fu Yun's inner circle, relatives, close friends, and key business partners. The moment Fu Yun's people spotted me, their faces twisted in disgust as if I were toxic waste. In my past life, Fu Yun defied his family's objections to marry me. Filled with guilt, I did everything possible to assimilate into his household. Though penniless, I offered genuine devotion. I sought to win them over through love and kindness, hoping for their acceptance. When Fu Yun's mother contracted pneumonia, even the maids kept their distance fearing infection. Only I remained by her bedside day and night until her recovery. Yet upon regaining health, she icily remarked, clumsier than the lowliest scullery maid. I was heartbroken about it for ages, constantly wondering if I'd done something wrong. But soon after, Fu Yun's mother called asking me to care for his sick aunt. I agreed eagerly, thinking this meant they finally accepted me. Until I accidentally overheard Fu Yun's aunt talking with his mother. Just think of it as keeping a well-behaved pup. Let Ayun keep whoever they fancy outside. Might as well keep this punching bag around. It's not like we're short on dog food. Dog, punching bag, make do, dog food. So in their eyes, I wasn't even considered human. No wonder they stopped objecting to me being with Fu Yun. They just saw me as a pet. Fine. Today you'll get to see what happens when this cute pet snaps. Lin Shuang showed up too, bringing gifts for everyone present, with me being the undesirable comparison. Lin Shuang, who's from an equal social standing, naturally won more favor from the elders. Fu Yun's mother gave Lin Shuang a few theatrical pats while scolding, "You heartless girl, how could you abandon us all and run off abroad alone? Had you not left, you and Ayun would have had a 3-year-old by now." Lin Shuang shot me a deliberately startled glance. "Auntie, please don't say that, it'll upset Ching Ching. What happened between me and Ayun is nobody's fault. Shuang just wasn't blessed. As long as brother Ayun is doing well, Shuang is content." Fu Yun's mother shot me a glare, growing even angrier when she saw me busy eating. 3 years, and still no sign of life in her belly. Useless girl, all you do is eat, eat, eat. Were you starved to death in your past life? I quickly shoved the last bite of cake into my mouth, grinning at her with crumbs spraying everywhere. 9. Fu Yun's mom recoiled like she'd seen dog poop, immediately covering her mouth and turning away. Successfully grossed her out. The banquet commenced. After Fu Yun's opening speech, he announced a special presentation, a video showcasing the project's future prospects for everyone to envision together. I initiated the applause from my seat. Lin Shuang shot me a sardonic glance, whispering just loud enough for our ears, "Su Ching Ching, you're done for." Just as I'd anticipated, the project video had been swapped. The screen displayed compromising photos of me disheveled, images of me bringing a man upstairs in the rain, and videos of me playfully wrestling with that same man on the beach in a bikini. The entire room was stunned. Fu Yun was the first to snap out of it. He shut off the video and roared, "Who fabricated these photos? Who dares slander my wife? That bastard actually pulled this good cop routine, soon enough." The professional team arrived. Forensic analysis confirmed those photos and videos were unaltered raw footage, meaning no one framed me. I actually cheated. People who'd stood by me immediately backed away, keeping a 3-meter distance with undisguised contempt. Fu Yun clutched his chest, heartbroken as he demanded, "Ching, I loved you with everything I had. How could you betray me? What am I lacking? Tell me, I can change." What a perfect brooding CEO persona, whether he divorces or remarries. People will only sympathize with him and offer blessings, all of which will fuel his career. I looked up at him, unable to reconcile his fragile appearance with the venomous schemes hidden beneath. Suddenly I remembered that rainy night 3 years ago, standing beneath my window begging me to be his girlfriend. His eyes held such fragile desperation that my defenses crumbled. Against my better judgment, I let myself believe him. Just this once, like some cheesy romance novel. Turns out my kindness and soft heart were wasted on trash, memories of my brutal death in the past life, and Ajo's hopeless despair after being bullied, froze what remained of my compassion. Ayun, snap out of it. She's not worth your devotion. Ayun, divorce her and kick her out of the Fu family. A country bumpkin like you should be grateful for marrying into our family, yet you dare betray Ayun. I'll beat you to death. Fu Yun's cousin lunged forward and kicked straight at me. Fu Yun immediately shielded me, taking the full force of the kick squarely on his back. Things escalated quickly. Everyone thought Fu Yun deserved better, calling me an ungrateful snake and a scheming bitch. Fu Yun's mother was so furious she yelled at him for being a hopeless fool. Lin Shuang's eyes were red from crying. Ching, how could you hurt brother Ayun when he's been so good to you? Did you cheat just to spite Ayun because I came back? Is that it? Ayun and I grew up together. He did help me with a small favor after my return. But that's just normal friendship between us. Our relationship has always been completely innocent. If Ching, you truly hate me, I'll leave right now. Just promise me you'll treat Ayun well. I've already hurt him once, please don't hurt him again. Okay. Many present knew about Fu Yun and Lin Shuang's past relationship. Hearing Lin Shuang's words, their hatred toward me grew even more intense. Fu Yun's cousin shouted, Shuang. If anyone's leaving, it should be her. You and Ayun were meant to be together. If that wretched woman hadn't blackmailed him, he'd never have married her. Ayun, divorce her. Our Fu family won't tolerate such morally bankrupt trash. The cousin's words sparked immediate agreement, with everyone clamoring for Fu Yun to divorce me. Fu Yun shielded me behind him and said painfully, "Please don't hurt Ching. This is all my fault. Ching, I've wronged you. I never should have forced you into this marriage. If freedom is what you truly desire, I'll let you go. Let's get divorced." Phew. Finally got my lines out. Honestly, watching them act is exhausting. I nodded calmly. So do I still get my share of the assets? Su Ching, you cheated during marriage and still want assets. In your dreams. My cousin exploded with rage. Aunt, we can't let this woman take a single cent from our Fu family. Su Ching. You should be grateful we're sparing your miserable life, and you still dare ask for money. My cousin chimed in angrily. I've had enough of these too. Ever since I entered the Fu household, they've been targeting me as if I were eating their family's rice. Will you two shut up? How I divide Fu Yun's assets is none of your damn business. What's the matter? Trying to become Fu Yun's children to claim his inheritance? Mind your own damn business. Who do you think you are? Constantly pointing fingers at others. Taken aback by my retort, my cousins were fuming and tried to hit me, but Fu Yun shielded me, leaving them powerless. Ching, I'll give you the money, Fu Yun said wearily. 5 million should last you a lifetime. I wagged my finger. Nope, 200 million, not a penny less. 200 million. The entire room gasped in shock. The hall erupted in another round of grumbling. But whatever, it's always the same old script, calling me a gold digger, an ungrateful wretch, and whatnot, talking about morals with me in high society. Hilarious. The most immoral people in this world are those who hold wealth and power, thinking they can manipulate the world and dictate ordinary lives. Fu Yun, I'm asking you one last time, will you pay the 200 million? I demanded sternly. With his back turned to others, Fu Yun fixed me with an intimidating gaze from their blind spot. Ching, he said coldly, if this adultery scandal goes to court, you won't even get 5 million, our eyes locked, his gleaming with absolute confidence. Fine, I clapped mockingly. President Fu, your social suicide package has been delivered. Sign for it. I smashed the glass, the darkened screen flickered back to life. The screen showed Ji Dong tied to a chair, confessing how Fu Yun had bribed him to drug me. Dong wept pitifully. I was just a well-behaved male escort until President Fu offered me $1 million to seduce your wife, to fabricate evidence of your infidelity and leave her penniless after the divorce. Sob, sis, please let me go. I heard Mr. Fu needs kidney tonic pills to perform, but I'm young, just say the word, and I'll satisfy you right away. After the video came the audio recording from when I caught Fu Yun with Lin Xuan. The recording clearly stated that Fu Yun and Lin Xuan hooked up first, then promised me 200 million to help maintain his perfect husband image until securing the project before divorcing. Kidney tonic pills make another appearance. Finally, here's the recording of me confronting him to sign the IOU. Kidney vitality pills became an overnight sensation. This plot twist left everyone at the scene utterly gobsmacked. Fu Yun snapped out of his daze and frantically ordered the screen to be turned off, but his men were swiftly subdued by Ajo's prepositioned bodyguards. Su Qingqing, how dare you set me up? Fu Yun roared in fury. I shrugged innocently. President Fu, I'm just reclaiming my 200 million, if you insist on social suicide, that's hardly my fault. Just then, the banquet hall doors burst open. Fu Yun's assistant rushed in frantically. Boss Fu, disaster strikes, our company's stocks are plummeting. 5 partners have announced they're terminating cooperation with us. Fu Yun's been having a rough time lately. What happened at the banquet would have normally stayed within elite circles, but Lin Xuan, that ruthless woman, secretly arranged a live stream of the event to crush me completely and smooth her path to power. When footage aired of me demanding 200 million while cheating, netizens tore me to shreds and even dug up dirt on ancestors I never knew, but the tables turned abruptly. Feeling utterly deceived, netizens swiftly redirected their fury toward Fu Yun, bombarding him with relentless criticism. The scandal snowballed overnight. Several partner companies severed ties with Fu Corporation, sending its stocks plummeting. Furious investors besieged Fu headquarters, demanding answers with protest banners. Online, hashtags like hashtag #FuBossKidneyTonics, hashtag #IsFuBoss functioning today, and hashtag scheming era of the year dominated trending lists for a solid week. Seizing the momentum, a production company released a miniseries titled The Villainous CEO's Feisty Wife, grossing 100 million yuan in 3 days. Its primary sponsor, a kidney tonic manufacturer, saw stocks skyrocket. As for me, just your average film investor who happened to pocket tens of millions in profit shares. 2 weeks later, with overwhelming evidence, the court ordered Fu Yun to repay my 200 million debt per the IOU plus compensation for emotional distress. Fu Yun came to see me looking rather pale. That's business for you ruthless competitors salivating at the chance to tear apart the Fu empire. Look at this. Without lifting a finger, all those hidden pieces of evidence are surfacing one by one. Tax evasion, asset transfers, shady businesses. The Fu family won't make it through this unscathed. Qingqing, I was wrong. Fu Yun grasped my hand, his gaze fragile and shattered. Only after you left did I realize, I stopped loving Lin Xuan long ago. It's you I love. Give me one more chance. Come back to me, please. I scoffed. Do you love me, or the 200 million in my hands? Fu Yun's face froze. Fu Yun, have you ever considered, if I hadn't been vigilant and seen through your scheme, I'd be the one cornered right now. Would you help me? No. You'd just clink glasses with Lin Xuan, celebrating your flawless plan and your precious romance. So tell me, why should I lift a finger for you? You're nothing. Fu Yun dropped the act, his eyes turning icy with rage. Su Qingqing, do you really think your petty fortune can bring me down? I'll rise from the ashes and make sure you disappear without a trace. I wiped my hand where he'd touched me with a towel, smiling as I said, we'll see about that. A month later, the Fu conglomerate went into liquidation. Rumor has it they'll never recover. I used to think empires like the Fu Group were untouchable, something us mere mortals could only gaze up at, but before the law, they're nothing. Serves them right. One day, while accompanying a Jew to view luxury penthouse apartments, I heard a heated argument between a man and woman from afar. Their voices sounded oddly familiar. Upon closer inspection, well, what do you know? It was them. There stood Lin Xuan dragging her suitcase to leave, with Fu Yun desperately blocking her way. Fu Yun pleaded, Xuan, You promised you'd stay by my side no matter what. Lin Shuang snapped impatiently. Wake up already. If I hadn't heard you took control, why would I come back when I was perfectly fine abroad? Fu Yun gritted his teeth. What are you implying? Now that I'm broke, you want out, Lin Shuang. I ended up like this because of you. Lin Shuang scoffed, obviously. Without the Fu Empire, what exactly would you bring to the table? Honestly, pretending to enjoy this when I'm actually miserable is torture. I don't know how Su Qingqing endured 3 years of it. Lin Shuang, you despicable bitch. Fu Yun slapped Lin Shuang across the face. The two began grappling violently, sensing danger. I quickly opened the streaming app and went live, considerate as ever. Asia waited until the security guards and netizens had their fill of the spectacle before separating the two. With disheveled hair, Lin Shuang only wanted to flee, even forgetting our rivalry. Seeing me like a drowning man spotting a lifeline, she rushed over saying, 200 million is what you deserve. This is utterly humiliating, absolutely unbearable. I never want to see another Shenbao pill in my life. Whatever. Given her unique mental state, I'll let it slide this time. Fu Yun's face was bruised, yet he looked at me with arrogance. Su Qingqing, what are you doing here? Unless you beg me, I won't reconcile with you. Ajio rolled her eyes and pushed him aside. We're here to buy the apartment. Move aside, please. The property agent forced an awkward smile. Mr. Fu, these two ladies are the ones purchasing this luxury flat. In the end, Fu Yun reluctantly sold the penthouse he shared with Lin Shuang. Otherwise, he'd have to pay me breach damages. Truth be told, the money he used to buy this luxury apartment was technically our marital assets. Whatever, consider it charity. I'm way past caring about petty cash now. As Fu Yun signed the contract with gritted teeth, he hissed, I'll be back. I nodded vigorously. Next time you'll crash and burn harder. Never bothered checking on Fu Yun afterward. Rumor has it he traded his looks to become some rich family's live-in son-in-law. After tasting success with short dramas, I went all in and became an investor-producer with a Jew, turning our venture into a cash cow. When Ji Dong approached me about starring as the male lead after his 15-day detention, I shut him down immediately. Listen Dong, showbiz isn't a trash can where any lowlife can dump themselves. If scum like you can become idols, what kind of example does that set for our audience? If someone like you can earn 208 grand daily, how does that honor the hard-working frontline laborers? Ji Dong wept bitterly, swearing off prostitution and shady money schemes forever. Pleased by his repentance, I gave him the promised million. A man always keeps his word. 11. The cash instantly dried his tears, though he lingered with reluctant, backward glances. Finally, as his foot hovered over the threshold, he turned to ask me, Sis, don't you need a man by your side to keep you warm? I glanced at Aju through the window as she negotiated projects over the phone. Her smile shone brighter than spring sunshine, radiating warmth. I chuckled softly. Since when are men necessities? Just decorative playthings at best. Story 2. I was reborn along with my husband who loved me deeply. In the previous life, he was a talented and brilliant director, and I was a top-tier actress in the spotlight. As a husband and wife team, we worked together and achieved lifelong glory. At the moment of his passing, the last words he left to the world were, I was the muse of his life. Reborn back to the audition set of Meng Chen's new film before my debut. All the actors were nervous, but I alone raised a confident smile. He would choose me, he was mine, until Meng Chen casually walked past me and pointed at another beautiful face. I suddenly realized that he perhaps didn't want to live the same life as in the previous life, nor did he want to love the same person again. 1. It took me a while to react and realize that I was at the audition set for Spring Comes. I also realized that I had been reborn. For a moment, I was a bit confused as to why I had been reborn. Speaking arrogantly, I thought my life in the previous life was so perfect that there were no regrets. In terms of my career, I was a glamorous actress who won the Oscar Lifetime Achievement Award. In terms of my family, although we didn't have children because we were a dink couple, I had a husband who loved me the most in the world, Meng Chen. We got to know each other because of Spring Comes. Starting as two unknowns in the film industry, we walked side by side to the peak of the film world. Everyone said that we were a combination of geniuses and that our love was an immortal myth in the entertainment industry. The only regret, perhaps, was that Meng Chen was too hardworking when he was young. He passed away at the age of 60. Before he died, he held my hand and said that I was the muse of his life. I couldn't stop crying and held his hand back. If there is an afterlife, I still want to fall in love with you. Mangchen smiled and closed his eyes forever. Not long after he passed away, I also died of a broken heart within 2 years. When I opened my eyes again, I was back here. This year, I was 19 years old, a sophomore at the Film Academy, and was about to debut as the female lead in Spring Comes. And then embark on that infinitely starry path. Although I still didn't understand the reason for being reborn, after calming down, I naturally accepted it. With such a happy life, why not have it again? Here he comes. Director Meng is here. He's coming to announce the audition results. After someone shouted these words, the noisy set suddenly fell silent. I raised my head and looked straight at the young man walking towards us. He was wearing a simple black shirt, with his sleeves casually rolled up to his elbows, revealing his strong forearms. His eyebrows and eyes had a somewhat cold look, yet there was also a familiar tenderness. My heart skipped a beat instantly. That was Mangchen. Mangchen when he was young. Several girls beside me started whispering, "Director Meng is so handsome, he could clearly rely on his good looks, but he insists on relying on his talent in the entertainment industry." I couldn't help but snicker. In a few years, he would turn into a slovenly uncle, not washing his face or combing his hair, with a beard, and staying in the editing room all day long. But what I loved had never been Mangchen's appearance. At this point in time, it should be when Mangchen had just won a new director award, although it wasn't a very prestigious award. For us students at the Film Academy, he was already a big shot. Who do you think Director Meng will choose? Sigh. I was too nervous just now and didn't perform well. I hope I can get a small supporting role at least. Everyone present had tension written all over their faces, but I alone smiled confidently. The more they praised him, the more satisfied I felt. This was such an excellent man, and from the very beginning, the only person in his eyes was me, Lin Wanyue. He loved me for a lifetime, doted on me for a lifetime, and even confessed his love to me before he died. I raised my head and locked my gaze firmly on Mangchen. I wasn't sure if it was an illusion, but his gaze also landed on me. I gave him a smile, but the next second, Mangchen's gaze casually shifted away. "We have already selected the female lead for Spring Comes." He picked up his notebook and said in a low and calm voice, "Lu Ying." All eyes turned in unison towards a quiet girl in the corner. The girl opened her eyes in surprise. Her face was blushing and she looked timid, like an innocent little deer, and I was stunned. Why? Why didn't Mangchen choose me as he did in the previous life? What had happened? The female lead of Spring Comes should be me. This was not only my debut work, but the female lead was also the representative role of my life. I felt both strange and puzzled. Could it be that because of my rebirth, there was some kind of butterfly effect? Where had it gone wrong? In the previous life, Mangchen told me that as soon as he saw my audition performance, he was certain that the female lead had to be me. "Wanyue, you were born for the movies, although you were only 19 years old during the audition for Spring Comes and hadn't acted in a leading role yet. I immediately decided that your acting career would surely be limitless in the future." The words that Mangchen secretly confessed to me later made me feel both shy and happy. But why now? Did he choose someone else? I clenched my fists tightly, and my fingertips trembled restlessly. If there was no Spring Comes, how would I have an intersection with Mangchen in this life? In the previous life, during the filming of Spring Comes, Mangchen and I began to get to know each other and developed a little bit of affection. But because of the 7-year age gap, we didn't rashly decide to start a relationship. What truly brought us together was the failure of Spring Comes. That literary film, carefully crafted by Mangchen, suffered a huge box office failure after its release. The audience disliked its slow pace, couldn't understand the plot, and even questioned Mangchen's directing skills, saying that he was being pretentious and didn't understand movies at all. However, this failed Spring Comes brought me into the spotlight, because in the movie, Mangchen filmed me extremely beautifully. A top-voted film review said that the female lead in front of the camera was like the moon hanging high in the sky, fragile yet stubborn, lonely yet free. After that, I gained a large number of fans who loved my appearance and acting skills. However, Mangchen's public opinion situation was the complete opposite, and he was severely criticized. Some even said that his bad movie wasted my appearance and acting skills. I felt extremely guilty about this, so I began to often comfort him, encourage him, and affirm his talent on WeChat. Our communication increased more and more. We talked from movies to life, and from life to dreams. Later, we frequently made appointments to go out and relax. Finally, on a starry night, he took my hand. "Wanyue, I don't want to wait anymore. if you like me too. I stood on tiptoe and kissed him, let's be together. And then, we loved each other for a lifetime. 4. Why did he choose Lu Ying? It doesn't seem to match the female lead's character either. Many people around me became restless just like me. The female lead of Spring Comes was a woman with great ups and downs in her life. From being young and inexperienced to becoming mature, it required a more mature-looking face, and Lu Ying, whom Meng Chen chose this time, had a more childlike face. How could she possibly hold up this role? Meng Chen spoke again. We made a few changes to the script. The focus is on the female lead's campus period. Considering all aspects, Lu Ying is the most suitable. His voice of explanation was still calm. I was stunned. The script had been changed. Meng Chen continued to talk about the content of the new script, and the more I listened, the more shocked I became. This was not the Spring Comes of the previous life at all. The new script had a stronger storyline and a faster pace, and it had almost become a popcorn commercial movie. This was completely not Meng Chen's style. After listening to the explanation, although the other actors were still a bit dissatisfied, they could only accept it. I packed my bag and walked out in a daze with the crowd. Suddenly, I heard a girl beside me gossiping. I heard a long time ago that Meng Chen and Lu Ying are a couple. It's just that he chose someone with connections and still pretended to hold an audition. I stopped in my tracks abruptly. It couldn't be true. Meng Chen wasn't that kind of person. I turned around and ran back, guided by my intuition. I stood outside the restroom. The door was slightly ajar, and Lu Ying's voice came out. Mr. Meng. I thought you wouldn't choose me to avoid suspicion. I suddenly remembered, Lu Ying was a student whom Meng Chen had taught acting before. In my impression, Meng Chen had always been cold and steady. In the previous life, even when he was being criticized by the whole internet, he was always calm and unhurried. Even on the day we got married, he just smiled a little more brightly than usual. I had never seen him lose his composure. But now, he suddenly reached out and hugged Lu Ying tightly in his arms. His possessiveness made me feel strange. Silly girl, it was precisely to choose you that the teacher changed the script. Can't you even see that? Lu Ying's tears welled up immediately. Last month, after I confessed my love to you, you said we shouldn't meet again. It was the teacher's mistake. Meng Chen looked down at her. His voice was low, but it carried an unshakable firmness. You can do whatever you want. And the teacher won't run away from his feelings anymore. But you also have to promise the teacher that no matter what happens, you must live well. Lu Ying looked up at him in surprise for a long time. Meng Chen smiled, bent down, and kissed her cheek. On the way back to school, it rained heavily, and I didn't have an umbrella. The rain flowed down my hair, soaking my clothes, and it was bone-chillingly cold. But compared to the coldness of my body, the chill in my heart made me feel even more suffocated. I finally realized that Meng Chen had also been reborn. He should have been reborn earlier than me. So, he changed the script and remade Spring Comes specifically for Lu Ying. I seemed to want to run and question him. Why did he do this? Why didn't he come to me? What did everything we had in the previous life mean? But where did I get the confidence and right to do so? In the eyes of outsiders, Meng Chen and Lin Wanyue were just two strangers who hadn't had any intersection yet. Yes, the deep affection we had in the past was all in the previous life. Meng Chen just wanted to choose another kind of life in this life, a life without me. 5. While having a meal in the cafeteria, I scrolled through the news related to the casting of Spring Comes. After Meng Chen chose his former student Lu Ying as the lead actress in his new film, it caused a huge stir on the internet. Many people were speculating about the true relationship between the two. There were also many CP fans emerging. This is so exciting. An older man, younger woman, teacher-student love affair. The man is handsome and the woman is beautiful. An uncle and a young girl. A classic configuration of an idol drama CP. I'm so into it. I just like this kind of sense of moral violation that breaks through reason. If you can't stop it, just let it be. I stared at these comments, and my heart seemed to be tightly gripped by something. Wanyue, what's wrong? You look so pale. Li Yunyun, who was sitting opposite me, asked with concern. It's nothing. I'm just a bit tired. Li Yunyun's eyes showed even more worry. She was my best friend. In the previous life, when she was young, she earned enough money and fame by acting in idol dramas. In middle age, she resolutely transformed into the background and became a successful producer. She was always like this, knowing what she wanted, while I, after being reborn, was becoming more and more confused. Is it because of the audition? Sigh. I know you've seen director Meng's previous movies and like him very much, but after all, we're only sophomores. And it's normal not to get the role in one audition. I lowered my head and poked the rice in the bowl with my chopsticks, not saying a word. Lee Yun sighed, "Don't be sad. I've received invitations for several online dramas recently. Do you want to go and try them together? Although it's not as good as a big screen production, it's still an opportunity. I'll think about it," I said softly, but my heart was in a mess. The things in the previous life were like a movie, constantly replaying in my mind. Those details that I had once ignored were now so clear that they were blinding. I remembered that in the previous life, I first became aware of Lu Ying not long after Meng Chen and I officially announced our relationship. Lu Ying blocked us backstage at a press conference. "She's only 1 year older than me. Why can she do it? But I can't." Meng Chen was silent for a long time. "It's not about the age. I'm the teacher, and you're the student." There was a kind of tiredness in his tone that I had never heard before. Lu Ying's tears welled up immediately. She turned around and ran away, her back looking as thin as a fallen leaf. Later, Lu Ying acted in many plays, but she never became popular. I heard that she went to be with a company boss, and later it was exposed that she was the mistress. After the public opinion came crashing down, she chose to commit suicide. After the news of Lu Ying's suicide broke out, Meng Chen locked himself in the study alone and stared blankly for a long time. I just thought that he was sad because of the loss of his student. Later, every year on Lu Ying's Memorial Day, he would go to her grave to pay his respects. I accompanied him for 2 or 3 years until I encountered a foreign film festival and I said with difficulty that I couldn't spare the time this time. Meng Chen said, "You're so heartless." I was shocked at that time. I didn't know Lu Ying well, and accompanying him for 2 years was already more than enough. Why did Meng Chen say that to me because of her? But then I thought, after all, he was a director of literary films, and it was normal for him to be a bit more sensitive and delicate. Later, Meng Chen apologized, and we made up, and he never asked me to go to the grave again, so I didn't take these things about Lu Ying to heart at all. But now, I suddenly understood, in Meng Chen's heart, there had always been a place for Lu Ying. This time after being reborn, he wanted to make up for the regret. He would never let go of Lu Ying again. Buzz. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. It was a text message from an unknown number. "Miss Lin Wanyue, we think your audition performance was excellent. Would you like to play the second female lead in Spring Comes?" The second female lead. 6. Li Yunyan leaned over and took a look, and her eyes immediately lit up. "Wanyue, this is an opportunity. Although you didn't get the female lead, the second female lead is also good. After all, it's Meng Chen's film." I shook my head and threw the phone aside. "I'm not going." "Why? Didn't you say you liked Meng Chen's movies before you went for the audition?" "I don't like them anymore." I smiled self-deprecatingly. The new Spring Comes is a hodgepodge. Meng Chen plagiarized the plots of countless blockbuster movies from the future of the previous life. The former Meng Chen clearly despised plagiarism the most. He said that if he ran out of talent, he would rather be an ordinary person than do something like plagiarism. But now, in order to make Spring Comes a huge success and to definitely make Lu Ying popular, he has even abandoned his principles. "Okay, I respect your decision. So, what are your plans next?" Li Yunyan asked curiously. I shook my head and casually scrolled through the messages on my phone. Suddenly, I saw the latest push from the school's official WeChat account. The School Youth League Committee was recruiting actors to shoot a public welfare short film. My eyes lit up immediately. Yun. I want to give this a try. The audition was held in the school's small auditorium. Not many people came, just a few scattered students. After all, for this kind of public welfare project, there was neither the guidance of a renowned director nor much exposure on the platform. The students at the Film Academy were all busy networking for various entertainment industry resources, who would care about such a role. After the teacher announced the start of the audition, I stood on the stage, took a deep breath, and closed my eyes. The memories of the previous life came flooding back like a tide, the joys, sorrows, laughter, and tears in front of the camera, and the joys, sorrows, separations, and reunions in those roles had long been integrated into my blood. I opened my eyes and started to perform. The audience gradually fell silent, until the performance ended. Several judges still kept their eyes open and didn't say a word. The other students who were auditioning also stared at me blankly. Just as I started to get nervous, one of the judges excitedly clapped his hands. "Great, it's so great. Which class are you from? How can you act so well?" In an instant, the entire auditorium erupted into thunderous applause. Standing on the stage and looking at the surprised eyes in the audience, I suddenly realized something. That's right, although I was reborn, my acting skills didn't start over. This was the acting skills of a future Triple Crown actress. I, Lin Wanyue, would never be buried like this. Amid the applause of the crowd, my heart boiled with excitement. So what if there was no Spring Comes? And so what if there was no Meng Chen? I, Lin Wanyue, would continue to walk on my path to stardom in this life. Not only would I win back the awards I won in the previous life, but I also wanted to act in more and more meaningful works in this life. This was not only the responsibility of an actor but also the conscience of an artist, just like the line in my favorite movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, be proud of your life, have the courage to start all over again. 7. I successfully joined the shooting of the school's public welfare film. At the same time, Spring Comes started filming. This film frequently appeared on the top of the trending searches. However, compared to the film itself, most of the public opinion focused on the gossip between Meng Chen and Lu Ying. Since the reporter secretly took photos of Lu Ying moving into Meng Chen's house, the two of them no longer avoided it. They walked in and out hand in hand every day. In the parking lot, Meng Chen still had a cigarette between his fingers. With his other hand, he held the back of Lu Ying's neck and kissed her passionately and persistently. On the snack street, Meng Chen gently wiped the corner of Lu Ying's mouth with a handkerchief. Then he suddenly covered her entire face and rubbed it. Lu Ying playfully punched his chest, and Meng Chen had a mischievous smile on his face like a teenager who had succeeded in a prank. Also, backstage at the film festival, Meng Chen, who never liked socializing with others, suddenly took the initiative to ask a male celebrity for an autograph. When asked by the reporter, the corner of his mouth raised. A little friend likes him. The comment sections under these news articles boiled over again and again. He called her a little friend. This man is so charming. It's so sweet. Lu Ying must have saved the galaxy in her previous life. She can conquer a man like Director Meng. Our little Ying deserves it. She's a cute and well-behaved little son. Even if I were a man, I'd be attracted to her. I mechanically scrolled through these comments with my fingers, and every word made my eyes sting. I had never seen Meng Chen like this before, vivid, lively, and full of youthful spirit. So, this was what he was like when he met his true love. 2 months later, the shooting of Spring Comes was completed, and it entered the post-production stage. Those overwhelming gossip news finally subsided. At the same time, the public welfare film Moonlight shot by our school was also released. There was no promotion or publicity, and no trending topics. It was just briefly pushed on the school's official website and WeChat account. On the poster, in front of the gray teaching building, a girl stood alone with her back facing the camera, and the moonlight shone on her shoulders. There was a line of text below, dedicated to all the souls still struggling in the dark. Moonlight tells the story of a lame little girl from a poor family with a preference for boys over girls. She relied on herself to get into university and leave the mountains. A day passed, and the number of views did not exceed 10,000, and there were only dozens of reposts and comments, but we were all very calm. This was the norm for a low-budget public welfare film. Some things are not made for popularity but to convey certain voices. When shooting, all of us put in 100% of our energy and enthusiasm, and that was enough, until that night. The small group chat suddenly exploded. Oh my god, our public welfare film is on the trending searches. Wanyue. Go and take a look. Many people are praising your acting. I opened Weibo in surprise and found that the source of the trending search was a well-known film critic blogger who reposted our public welfare film, and with the caption, compared to some commercial films that are constantly hyping up gossip, this is what people should watch. 8. Overnight, the popularity of Moonlight suddenly spread like wildfire. Netizens gave it extremely high praise. Wow, I was moved to tears. This is the real art of film. All girls should watch this. Studying is our best way out. Many people also noticed me, the female lead. Acting like this at the age of 19 is simply a talent. God is literally feeding her the opportunity. The female lead is so beautiful, and her acting skills are also amazing. I'm a fan now. More and more netizens were voluntarily promoting it. Various highlight clips of Moonlight went viral on short video platforms. Within a week, the number of views actually exceeded 1 million. Even the official film channel sent us an invitation. When asked about my creative ideals by the host, I smiled and said, at my age, it's still too immature to talk about creative ideals. Now I just want to convey good things to everyone. Where the sun can't shine, I hope there will still be moonlight shining in. For a moment, the netizens were even more excited. This is the real actor. She's not aiming for fame but to convey value. She's much better than some actors who rely on gossip to hype themselves up and have empty heads. Everyone should learn what it means to have substance in what you say. I could see that many netizens were comparing and belittling Spring Comes, which had been full of gossip during the same period. Mangchen should be able to see that too, but for some reason, he still liked and reposted our public welfare film. It's a very good public welfare film, and the female lead acted very well. Especially well. Her future is definitely limitless. I stared fixedly at this Weibo post, and my eyes suddenly felt hot. Those memories that I had deliberately tried to forget came flooding back like a tide. Mangchen at the age of 26 squatted in the corner of the Spring Comes set and put Lin Wanyue's red and cold hands under his coat to warm them up when she was 19. Mangchen at the age of 27 pressed Lin Wanyue, who came to visit the set, against the door of the editing room. His breath was hot. I haven't seen you for 2 months, and I can't wait until the filming is finished. Mangchen at the age of 30 stood at the end of the red carpet and gently wiped the corner of Lin Wanyue's eye with his fingertips. I will love you for a lifetime, whether in poverty or wealth. A lifetime was clearly so long. But he had seriously fulfilled his promise. But why was his love only for one lifetime? We had walked on so many red carpets, through the starlight. And through the years, our smiles, our tears, our resonance, our wishes for the world. For Mangchen, it had all become a movie that had already ended. In this life, did nothing count anymore? The memories that came flooding in like a tide gradually ebbed away again. The cold wind woke me up and dried the tears at the corners of my eyes. Lin Wanyue, this must be the last time you cry for him. I wiped away my tears vigorously, opened the Weibo fan list, and without hesitation, added the newly added fan director Mangchen to the blacklist. 9. The success of Moonlight was like a stepping stone, opening the door to the entertainment industry for me. I was only a sophomore at that time, but I already had a continuous stream of acting offers. Soon, I officially started filming my first film as the female lead, The Little Tree, a humanistic film telling the story of a deaf-mute female painter. The director was also a newcomer. To save money, the film didn't have any magnificent sets, nor any complex special effects. More than half of it was filmed using scenes from the streets and parks. However, the script was very serious, and it reflected the director's sincere heart, just like Mangchen used to be. At the same time, Spring Comes was also completed and released. As expected, it was a huge hit, and the topics flooded all social media platforms. After all, Mangchen had borrowed so many elements from blockbuster movies. If Spring Comes wasn't successful, I would have doubted whether his talent had stayed in the previous life. After the release of Spring Comes, the reviews were mixed. Many film critics mocked it, shallow, overly commercialized, and without an inner core. Director Mang has also succumbed to the market. It's completely different from the style of the film for which he won the new director award. Lu Ying's face is not suitable for the big screen, and her acting skills are just average. It is recommended that she try filming TV dramas first to get some experience, but there was no denying that the film was a hit. Mangchen became popular, and Lu Ying also became famous. From then on, we completely embarked on 2 different paths. I continued to study acting and never participated in variety shows for excessive exposure. When choosing which films to act in, I didn't care at all whether the co-actors were popular, whether the director was famous, or whether the investment was large. I only cared whether the script could move me. Although not every film I acted in was a hit, and many had mediocre box office results, my reputation in the entertainment industry was getting better and better. I gained a group of extremely loyal fans, and I even won my first Best Actress award earlier than in the previous life. But Mangchen was completely the opposite of what he was in the previous life, or rather, I could see that he himself was also in a state of indecision. After filming 2 popular commercial films, he suddenly announced that he was going to film a literary film, but Lu Ying didn't seem to be suitable for the feeling of a literary film at all. The media photographed the 2 of them arguing on the set several times. Once, Mangchen directly threw the script at Lu Ying's face and scolded her for being obtuse. Later, the female lead of this literary film was replaced by an unknown new actress by Mangchen. Although it was said that he and Lu Ying hadn't broken up yet, Lu Ying no longer acted in films directed by Mangchen, after leaving Mangchen's tailored roles. The 2 films in which Lu Ying starred as the female lead failed at the box office. Gradually, she was abandoned by the film industry, so she began to focus on idle TV dramas and also frequently appeared on variety shows. In this way, she barely maintained her popularity and topics. We all had our own paths. It was just that when I thought that I would never have any intersection with Mengchen in this life. We met at a film awards ceremony. Coincidentally, our seats were next to each other. 10. When I lifted my skirt and found my seat, Mengchen was already sitting there. He was wearing a black suit that was always appropriate. He had a cigarette in his hand originally. The moment he saw me, his eyes widened, and he quickly extinguished it. Juan, MS, Lin, hello. I nodded and calmly sat down beside him. Before the awards ceremony started, the lights dimmed. The big screen began to play clips of the nominated films one after another. And the applause and cheers came one after another. I watched your new film, The Female Emperor, he suddenly said, his voice as soft as a feather. You acted very well, thank you. It's not just the new film, I've watched every film you've acted in. You're really the most talented actress I've ever seen. In fact, I've always wanted to have the opportunity to work with you. I was stunned for a moment and turned to look at Mengchen. The outline of his side face was somewhat gentle in the dim light. He smiled and said, I just don't know if you would be interested in working with me. What are you saying, Director Meng? You're also a very excellent director. It's just that in terms of choosing scripts, my preferences may not be very suitable for your style, I said calmly, but a trace of surprise crept into my heart. I had thought that Mengchen, like me, didn't want to have any intersection with the other party in this life. However, he probably still didn't know that I was also reborn. Maybe these were just polite words in social interactions and didn't need to be taken seriously. After being rejected, there was a moment of confusion on Mengchen's face, and he didn't say anything more. I thought our conversation would end there. The Female Emperor won numerous awards again, while Mengchen's film was just nominated and didn't win any awards. After the awards ceremony ended, I was about to leave after finishing the media interview, but he followed me. Is there a car coming to pick you up? Let me give you a ride. I was stunned for a moment and replied to him, yes, my assistant is coming to pick me up. Then he didn't say anything more. It was raining heavily outside. My assistant's car was still on the way, and Mengchen didn't get into his own car either. He just accompanied me and waited by the roadside. In the silent sound of the rain, he suddenly said, MS, Lin. Do you know, I had a dream about the previous life. I didn't say a word and clenched the skirt with my fingertips. He continued, in the previous life, I chose you as the female lead of Spring Comes. Although the box office of Spring Comes failed, we got along very well and gradually got together. Sorry, Director Meng, my car is here. I smiled and pointed to the white car approaching in the distance, interrupting his words. Mengchen stared at me blankly. I waved goodbye to him. I don't believe in past lives and this life. People should just live this life well. If you often have dreams like this, you can go see a doctor. Maybe you've been under too much psychological pressure recently. By the way, I'm still waiting for the wedding candies from you and MS, Lou. After such a long relationship, don't let her down. Mengchen's lips moved, but in the end, he didn't say anything. The moment I closed the car door, I finally let out a sigh of relief. My assistant asked curiously, Sister, what did Director Mengchen say to you? Did he invite you to act in a film? It's nothing, we just chatted casually. The car gradually drove into the rain. The streetlights were blurred into hazy spots of light in the rain. I felt a little uneasy in my heart. What did Mengchen mean by saying these things to me? 11. My uneasiness didn't come out of nowhere. After that day, Mengchen somehow got my WeChat ID. When I saw the friend request, I hesitated for a long time, and finally clicked accept. That night, his messages popped up one after another. MS, Lin, do you have time recently? Can I invite you to dinner? I declined. Do you have any upcoming activities? If you're free, how about going hiking or something together? I said I was preparing my body for the next movie and wouldn't be going out. Do you have any favorite movies? Which actor do you like? Mengchen even mentioned many movies and actors in advance. All of them were the ones I liked in my previous life. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I wasn't so dull that I couldn't sense what he meant. He was showing his affection for me, and he wanted to pursue me, but I was even more confused. What had happened between him and Lu Ying? Mengchen started to contact me frequently on WeChat. The messages piled up like a mountain, since we often ran into each other in the entertainment industry. I couldn't bring myself to block him. After thinking about it for a long time, I finally decided to invite him out and make things clear. let's have dinner together tomorrow. I really have something I want to talk to you about. As soon as I sent this message, he replied okay instantly, so quickly that it seemed he was afraid I would go back on my word. When I arrived at the restaurant the next day, Mengchen was already waiting in the private room. He was wearing a very formal suit. And there was a bouquet of red roses on the table. When he saw me, he smiled, and there was a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Wanyue, I still addressed him politely, Director Meng. He smiled awkwardly and pointed to the menu. I've already ordered the dishes. Take a look. Are they the ones you like? Of course, they were all my preferences from the previous life, and he remembered them clearly. I nodded and sat down opposite him. You finally agreed to have dinner with me, that's great. Mengchen smiled happily, and there was even a trace of shyness. He poured me a glass of water. We're all adults, and I don't want to be too coy about many things. Actually, you like me, you want to pursue me. Mengchen's face instantly turned red. I smiled, picked up the tea, and took a sip. Then when you were reborn, why didn't you pursue me? Why did you choose Luing first? Mengchen's face turned pale in an instant, and his lips trembled. Wanyue, I was reborn too. Just like you, I said calmly. 12. The air fell silent, and we stared at each other wordlessly for a long time. Finally, he spoke, his voice hoarse. When did you come back? I came back during the audition for Spring Comes. During the audition for Spring Comes. It was 6 years ago, Mengchen murmured, and his eyes suddenly showed disbelief. Then why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you come to question me during that time of Spring Comes? Xie Chen. The female lead of Spring Comes was a character you really liked. I let out a soft laugh, with a hint of self-mockery in my tone. At the moment when you chose Lu Ying as the new female lead, was there any need for me to question you? Mengchen, I also have my own reserve and self-esteem. Mengchen fell silent again. After a long time, he said softly, I'm sorry. I closed my eyes and suppressed the surging emotions in my heart. In the previous life, was what you felt for me fake? How could it be? How could it be fake? Mengchen became agitated, grabbed his hair with both hands, and roared, Wanyue, I love you. I've loved you for a lifetime. But Xiaoying's death has always been a hurdle in my heart. I keep thinking that if I had accepted her and been with her at that time, would the things that happened later not have occurred, even if we didn't stay together for a long time? As long as I had truly faced her and been with her for 2 or 3 months. I admit that I had a bit of a crush on her in the previous life, but that wasn't love. It couldn't compare to my love for you. Just after she died, this feeling turned into an obsession. I had a perfect life with you, but my obsession with her didn't fade away even until I died. So when you were reborn, you chose her instead of me. I interrupted him, my tone calm but cold. You wanted to live a different life. Mengchen. Everyone said that we were a combination of geniuses and an unbreakable love myth in the entertainment industry. After we got together later, I realized that our preferences and values didn't match. I brought up breaking up several times, but Xiaoying was very fragile, and I was afraid she would do something stupid, until half a year ago, after another big argument, I finally couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't ruin my own life for hers. I've also made her famous. I've done everything I could. I don't want to sacrifice my love for her. Wanyue, I love you, it's only you, and it's always been you. I looked at Mengchen with red eyes, but there was not the slightest ripple in my heart. Mengchen, don't deceive yourself, I said softly, with a trace of pity in my tone. You just experienced the goodness of the red rose, so in this life, you want to try the white rose, but after finding that the white rose isn't that good, you want to come back and pursue the red rose. But why should I stay for you? Mengchen was stunned, his eyes full of shock and pain. I picked up my bag, stood up, and said calmly but firmly, Mengchen, love isn't an experiment. You can't just try different flavors because you've tasted one kind of sweetness, and then come back to look for the sweetness in the end. I'm not a tool for your perfect life, and I won't wait for you here forever. I have my own life and my own path, and you have already made your choice. Goodbye. No. Let's not meet again. Lin Wanyue and Mengchen in this life had no intersection in the past, and there won't be any intersection in the future either. I turned around and left. When I pushed open the door of the private room, the cold wind rushed in and scattered the rose petals on the table. Just like those sealed memories, they would eventually be scattered in the passage of time. Story 2, when I was 4, during a charity trip to the mountains with my parents. I was nearly kidnapped by traffickers. It was Wan who saved me. My parents offered to sponsor her, and seizing the opportunity, she played the victim and ingratiated herself into our home using her tragic circumstances as leverage. Driven by jealousy, she later killed me and poisoned my parents, taking over our villa and wealth. My whole family met a tragic end. Yet she thrived by flaunting her wealth and became a major internet celebrity with millions of fans. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing in Xiao Wan's drafty stone house. Before my parents could propose sponsoring Xiao Wan, I timidly asked, "Mom, what does little bastard mean?" Hearing me swear, my mom's face turned stern immediately. "Who taught you that?" I naively pointed at Xiao Wan's mother. "Auntie called me that. And she also took Grandma's jade necklace." Xiao Wan's mother turned deathly pale instantly, standing by. The skinny Xiao Wan had been lost in thought the whole time. My dad was the first to react. Going to fetch my mom's purse, sure enough, the jade necklace was missing. My grandmother had passed away last month, and the necklace was the only thing she left for my mom. Our charity trip to the mountains was also to fulfill my grandmother's last wish to donate her legacy. In my past life, we only realized the necklace was missing after returning home. Due to the necklace's value, my mom reported it to the police, but in the underdeveloped mountain area, with no surveillance on the roads and a complex population spread across villages, it was impossible to find. Xiao Wan's mother wailed, claiming we were slandering her. Her demeanor made her look innocent. It was only after my death that I saw Xiao Wan's mother, unable to get money from Xiao Wan and desperate to buy her son a house and get him married. Sell the necklace. While I was still in shock, Xiao Wan's mother, furious to the extreme, spit at us, picking up a farming tool. She drove us out. "What kind of philanthropists are you, looking down on us just because we're poor, you damn little bastards, get out." Her shrewish curses attracted many neighbors. This also snapped Xiao Wan out of her daze, with clarity returning to her eyes after a brief pause. She rushed past her mother and came out. "Uncle, Auntie. It was my mom who took the necklace. I'll get it and return it to you. I really want to go to school. Please help me, considering I saved Man yesterday." Hearing Xiao Wan's words, her mother's features contorted in rage. "You ungrateful wretch. To curry favor with these rich folks you even slander your own mother. I'll kill you." Xiao Wan's mother ruthlessly hit her with a shovel again and again. Many villagers tried to intervene but were pushed away with the shovel. The village echoed with Xiao Wan's screams. Finally, my parents called the police. The police arrived in time and put an end to the chaos. After Xiao Wan's mother was restrained, Xiao Wan, injured and limping, went into the inner room. She brought out the jade necklace. Caught red-handed, Xiao Wan's mother was arrested on the spot. My parents secured the necklace but made no mention of the sponsorship. When Xiao Wan's father returned from the fields, my dad gave him some money as a gesture of appreciation. As we prepared to leave, Xiao Wan shouted in disbelief, "Wait, that's it." My mom turned to look at her puzzled, and my dad instinctively shielded me with his body. "It's not supposed to be like this. You were going to sponsor me. If it wasn't for me, this cheap, no, man would have been kidnapped." "Mom, Dad, you'll take me with you, right?" Her frantic words confused others, but I understood. In her previous life, to maintain her facade of a wealthy and privileged woman, she said my parents were like her own, immediately calling them Mom and Dad. My mom corrected her a few times, and seeing that she didn't change, she simply stopped mentioning it. My dad just avoided her altogether. I never expected Xiao Wan to have been reborn too. Hearing her address us, both my parents' faces darkened. Xiao Wan's father instantly changed his expression, cursing as he slapped her on the head. Xiao Wan, her eyes filled with rage, tried to fight back, but her father kicked her down to the ground. My mom covered my eyes with her hands and quickly hugged me into the car. Meanwhile, Xiao Wan, barefoot, chased after the car, crying and shouting, until she could no longer keep up with us. My dad shifted his gaze from the rearview mirror and asked with a frown, "Does this girl have some mental issues? With parents like that, it would be odd if she turned out well. It's a good thing we didn't start off by offering to sponsor her, otherwise, we would never be able to shake them off like a sticky plaster." My dad nodded in agreement. My eyelashes slowly drooped twice. Xiao Wan didn't know that my parents highly value my education. After encountering Xiao Wan's family, they would never let me get involved with her. Before we left, a village representative found us. Dingxi village was poor and remote, with too many children unable to afford schooling. Missing this opportunity, who knows when the next one would come. She handed my parents a list. Each child on the list had their photo and family information attached. She hoped my parents could sponsor at least one child's education. After yesterday's incident with Qiao Wan's family, my parents were somewhat reluctant, but facing the earnest look of the village representative, they didn't know how to refuse. I casually flipped through the list and said, "Mom and Dad. The person who saved me the day before yesterday is this big brother here." Upon hearing this, my parents turned their heads. The village representative, recognizing the child I pointed to, immediately beamed with joy. "That's little A Yuan. He just started 3rd grade and ranked first in the recent baseline assessment in our town. His mom was a college graduate from our village. She had to give up her job in the city and return home to take care of her father after he broke his leg at a construction site. Then she got married and had children." After discussing, my parents relented. They decided to visit Song Ziyuan's home the next day. I insisted on going right away to thank the big brother in person. Unable to persuade me otherwise, my parents drove us there. In my past life, it was indeed Song Ziyuan who saved me from a kidnapper, when Qiao Wan and I were running. Song Ziyuan held the kidnapper tightly around the waist to stop him from chasing us. I originally wanted to call for help to save him, but Qiao Wan told me that the kidnapper was a relative of Song Ziyuan's family. They staged this whole drama to swindle money from my parents. I believed it to be true. I met Song Ziyuan again when I started university. He returned to our school as an outstanding graduate to give a speech. The school was full of legends about him. They said he was the only person in the history of university to be both a scholar and a heartthrob. He studied interior design and started taking on projects to earn money since his freshman year. Before even graduating, he received offers from several top companies. After building connections and gaining experience in a major company, he quickly resigned to start his own business and had become a leader in his field. I never imagined that such a person would confess his feelings to me. But I publicly rejected him because of what happened in my childhood, until Song Ziyuan attended my funeral. From the sarcastic and derogatory comments of Qiao Wan, I learned that after we fled that day, Song Ziyuan was beaten by the kidnapper, breaking his leg and nearly causing a lifelong disability. The kidnapper was not his relative. The last memory I had was at a social media awards ceremony backstage, where Song Ziyuan fiercely plunged a pen into Qiao Wan's forehead. In my past life, he avenged me. This time, it was my turn to protect him. In the hospital, Song Ziyuan's parents warmly welcomed us. After understanding the situation, my parents immediately arranged for Song Ziyuan's transfer to another hospital. They consulted an orthopedic expert from the provincial hospital for a specialist examination. After confirming that Song Ziyuan's leg could fully recover, his parents, with tears in their eyes, expressed their gratitude to my parents. At his bedside, I asked Song Ziyuan, "Does it hurt?" He shook his head. I looked at him intently and said, "Big brother, thank you for that day. You have to get well soon." "I will." "What's your name?" he asked. "Shen Man." "My name is Song Ziyuan. Here, this is for you." He opened his palm to reveal my hair clip. In my previous life, after I rejected him, he returned the same hair clip to me. Back then, I threw it straight into the trash can. Now, I wish I could go back in time and slap myself for that. When I looked up at him again, my eyes curved into a smile. "Keep this as a memento, big brother, remember me, and when I grow up, I'll come to find you, okay?" Song Ziyuan carefully closed his hand around the hair clip again. My parents decided to sponsor Song Ziyuan's education, perhaps as an aftermath of being reborn. I fell ill with a high fever for a week once I got home. As soon as the fever subsided, I heard the tragic news about Song Ziyuan's family. Song Ziyuan's parents had died. Someone had poisoned their pot with rat poison. Song Ziyuan avoided this fate as he was staying in the hospital. The culprits were Qiao Wan's parents. They resented the Song family for taking the sponsorship they desired and harbored this grudge. Taking advantage of a visit to the hospital, they sneaked in and poisoned the pot. After the incident, they stood by as if nothing had happened, merely spectators to the tragedy. Song Ziyuan was now an orphan. Most of his relatives, barely making ends meet themselves, were unwilling to take him in. His education became an uncertainty. The village then called my parents to inform them of the details and suggested we temporarily halt our sponsorship. After discussing it, my parents decided to adopt Song Ziyuan. When we went to pick up Song Ziyuan, from afar, I could see a crowd gathered at the door of his hospital room. Through the noise, I heard Qiao Wan's sobbing voice. "Song Ziyuan, I beg you, please sign the forgiveness document. If my parents are imprisoned, it will ruin my life." I pushed through the crowd. I saw Qiao Wan kneeling at Song Ziyuan's feet. repeatedly bowing her head in desperation. I was immediately infuriated and rushed forward to pull her up. With a slap, I struck her face sharply. Everyone was shocked. Xiao Wan, regaining her composure, yelled, "What are you doing, Shin Man?" I was about to scold her, but seeing my parents approaching, I swallowed my words and instead said in a childlike tone, "Big sister, your parents killed Big Brother's parents, and you're forcing him to forgive them. You're a bad person. Also, I don't think I ever told you my name, so how did you know I'm Shin Man?" Reminded by my words, my parents also reacted. My mother quickly took me away, soothing me softly. My father, eyes full of suspicion, stared at Xiao Wan. "You and your parents had your sights set on our family from the start, didn't you? Was that human trafficker also hired by you?" In my past life, my parents had taken great care of Xiao Wan to make her feel at home, treating her even better than they treated me. They never scolded her for any minor mistake, let alone looked at her with such suspicion. Startled, Xiao Wan hurriedly defended herself. "Uncle, Auntie, that day was the first time we met. I didn't know you before, and I had no idea you would come to the village. I heard you calling her Man. And I knew Uncle's surname was Shin, so I guessed that she must be Shin Man. Just now, it was Man who hit me first. Look at my face." She deliberately turned her face to specifically show her right side, yet, there was no trace of a finger mark on her face, not even a hint of redness. The slap I had given her, though loud, was merely with the strength of a child. I feigned fear and hid in my mother's embrace, beginning to cry pitifully. Xiao Wan was furious and ran outside to find the onlookers. "Grandma, tell them, didn't Shin Man hit me first? Uncle, you must have seen it, please tell them." But no one paid her any heed. Her voice gradually broke down. It wasn't until the village committee representative arrived and dispersed the crowd that Xiao Wan finally fell silent. I only saw Song Ziyuan when I entered the hospital room. Having not seen him for just a week, he looked even thinner, at an age when he should be growing. His face was so gaunt it was almost unrecognizable. Tears uncontrollably fell as I looked at him. I couldn't imagine how a 9-year-old child was supposed to live on his own from now on. My parents and the village committee head were discussing adoption. I walked straight to the bedside, and after inadvertently touching his icy, bone-chilling hand, I wrapped his hand tightly with my little hands and earnestly said, "Big brother, my parents will take care of you from now on. And I will play with you every day, don't be sad." Song Ziyuan finally reacted. He turned his head to look at me, his blank eyes finally focused. Hearing my words, my mother also turned to look at him, saying sympathetically, "Yes, child, just like Man said, we are all willing to take care of you. Would you like to move in and live with us?" Before Song Ziyuan could respond, Xiao Wan exploded in anger. "No, you can't adopt him, you should adopt me. I am your daughter, you all like me. Don't you, Mom and Dad?" Her voice startled us. Her eyes, inflamed with anger, swept over us. As her gaze turned toward me, I silently mouthed "idiot" in lip sync. Xiao Wan caught on almost instantly. Her gaze turned fierce, her eyes nearly splitting. "It's you, you've also been reborn. That's why you won't let Mom and Dad sponsor me to bring me home. It's all because of you. I will kill you." Xiao Wan grabbed a fruit knife from a nearby fruit basket and charged at me. My father, usually so mild-mannered, immediately darkened his face and knocked the knife from her hand. He then twisted her arms behind her back. No matter how much Xiao Wan struggled, she was just a child and it was futile. The village committee head called the police on the spot. Xiao Wan was suspected of attempted murder and was sent to a juvenile detention center. Unbeknownst to us, Song Ziyuan, who had been lying in bed, was now standing in front of me, protecting me. I was overwhelmingly moved. Song Ziyuan's parents had both passed away, making him eligible for adoption, but my parents were not eligible since they already had their own children. With no other choice, Song Ziyuan's residency was temporarily registered under the name of one of my father's friends. That very day, my parents brought Song Ziyuan back to our villa. Since his leg injury had not yet healed, my father had a room on the second floor of the villa equipped just like a hospital room. He also hired a nurse for him. I registered an account online and hired someone to post short videos on the internet. The news of Xiao Wan's parents poisoning a couple in their village quickly dominated the trending lists on major video websites. Millions of netizens online called for the death penalty. Justice was swift, and Xiao Wan's parents were soon sentenced. However, 3 months later, Xiao Wan was released early for good behavior. Unfortunately, by the time she came looking, our house was already empty. I had known all along that the juvenile detention center wouldn't hold Xiaowan forever. After her parents were sentenced to death, she dragged Song Ziyuan to act out a drama with me. We both were awakened by nightmares every night. The scenes in the dream were always the same. My parents sensed something was off, and with the rise of the live streaming industry in the South, my dad considered a career change. With a grand gesture, he moved the entire family to the South. Later, I heard that a young girl had been inquiring about our family. She had staked out for a while, and only after seeing that we had indeed moved did she stop coming. In the blink of an eye, 16 years had passed. I was now a sophomore in college. Song Ziyuan had returned from studying abroad and started the most popular home decor company among young people in the country. After discovering his talent in design, my parents had pulled some strings to send him to a top-tier foreign institution for further studies. He had made a name for himself in the industry even before finishing college. Many companies on Financial Street had offered him opportunities, but he firmly chose to return to his country to start his own business. When our house was being renovated, we incorporated many of his suggestions. My favorite spot, the southern platform, was his design. Sitting under the eaves, through the small loft directly in front, one could see the distant mountains, forming a picturesque scene. The wind chimes tinkled, the wooden door behind me was pulled open. The person who came draped a coat over me familiarly. "You don't need to guess to know you're here. It's getting cold, why didn't you put on a coat?" I turned around with a smile, meeting Song Ziyuan's gaze. 16 years had passed, and he had grown into the appearance of a male god from a previous life, but unlike in the past life, this time he had been raised too well by my parents, adding a bit of refinement to his demeanor. "Is your company not busy?" Song Ziyuan sat down beside me, speaking lightly. "Busy or not depends on the situation. Your birthday is coming up, isn't it? What do you want for your birthday this time?" This guy. Asking about what gift to give in advance. Slightly annoyed, I said, "Just pick something, as long as it's not the same as what my boyfriend gave me." Hearing this, Song Ziyuan's expression instantly turned cold. He stared at me quietly. "Got a boyfriend? What does he do? How old is he?" "I'm not sure about his age, but he's icy, mushy, and very tasty." Seeing an opportunity to lighten the mood, I went to the fridge and took out a Blue Friend cute ice cream. Showing it to him, I said, "Here. This is my blue friend, want one?" Song Ziyuan was instantly torn between laughter and tears. In the dining room, I looked at the table full of disastrous dishes, tears streaming down my face. Last week, the cook who had been with my family for over a decade suddenly had to quit due to a family emergency. So, on my first day back from school, I was faced with various disastrous dishes prepared by my mom. Today's dish, covered in a mix of red and yellow on the noodles. It was my mom's specialty dish, the terribly made scrambled eggs with tomatoes. Under my mom's earnest gaze, I still took a bite. Immediately, I was torn between "Did you murder the salt cellar?" and "Just kill me now." Glancing aside, my dad had already secretly spat his bite into a napkin he had prepared. Song Ziyuan was polite enough to swallow his, but his face said it all. Seeing our reaction, my mom, infuriated, went upstairs to video interview new cooks. The next day, she showed us several resumes of cooks who passed the interview. Among them, I instantly recognized Xiaowan, not because Xiaowan was particularly attractive, but because that face, I could never forget. My eyes landed on her name column, and I scoffed. She had changed her name, now called Xiao Fei. No wonder my mom didn't recognize her. Women change a lot by 18, and it had been 16 years. Xiaowan's features had fully matured, making her almost unrecognizable from her childhood appearance. Plus, she had changed her name. No one would connect her with the Xiaowan of the past. If I hadn't seen her in her previous life, I probably wouldn't have recognized her either. While I was lost in thought, my mom pulled Xiaowan's resume from my hand. "Out of all these, I favor this one the most. Both her educational and professional qualifications are the best." I frowned. "Mom, hiring such a young and pretty nanny. Have you not watched any movies? Do you want me to find some for you to catch up on?" My mom glared at me annoyed. "What kind of daughter talks about her father like that? Your dad and I have weathered many storms together. If he was going to stray, we wouldn't have made it this far. Aren't you afraid of thieves just because you haven't been robbed? Plus, there's my brother too, he's in the prime of his youth." Before I could finish, I saw Song Ziyuan, dressed in a suit, coming down the stairs. He looked at me with a deep gaze. Clearly, he had heard what I just said. I kept my eyes down, as quiet as a quail. Song Ziyuan walked over and nonchalantly took the resume from my mom. The resume is impressive, 22 years old with 5 years of work experience, started working at 17, she's too young, Mom, if you hire her, I might have to move back to the company. After returning from abroad, Song Ziyuan had started his own business and was always extremely busy. Being able to come home twice a month was considered good. My mom, already harboring complaints, decisively ruled out Xiaowan. Upon hearing this, I wasn't idle either. I made a call to the domestic agency to complain that Xiaowan had a criminal record. That's when I found out she had bought a fake identity and lied to the company. Xiaowan was fired that very day, but to my surprise, a week later, Xiaowan still showed up at my house, as my grandmother's caretaker. Grandma had grown old and often talked about wanting to return to her roots, back to her hometown. My dad had built a villa for her in our hometown a couple of years ago. The caretaker was dispatched by a domestic agency from there. This time, she had come over for my birthday, and I had just returned from a dinner with friends. As I went to pour some water in the living room, I accidentally met eyes with Xiaowan, who was wiping the dining table. I could see the panic and embarrassment in her eyes at that moment. Mrs. Back, let me take your bag. As Xiaowan reached out to take my bag, I avoided her. She looked up in surprise, meeting my scrutinizing gaze. I hinted pointedly, we don't have that habit here. It's not like some people who don't have the life of a lady but certainly have the airs, becoming helpless the moment they get home. Right, Grandma. I turned to look at my grandmother sitting on the sofa. Grandma was hard of hearing due to her age and didn't catch what I had said. She just beckoned me over. Nan. Oh, my dear granddaughter, Grandma can only see you so rarely. I've missed you terribly. I deliberately ignored her, gesturing meaningfully towards where Xiaowan was. So, Grandma missed me so much that you found a girl about my age to keep you company. I might get jealous. On the reflective marble floor, I saw Xiaowan glaring fiercely at me, and I smirked back at her. But my grandmother, oblivious, continued explaining. It turned out that Grandma had gone to the mall to buy me a birthday gift and had accidentally fallen, and it was Xiaowan who had promptly taken her to the hospital. Grandma wanted to repay her. She refused to accept anything. Her kindness immediately touched my grandmother. Then Xiaowan took the opportunity to share her pitiable story of being dismissed and left homeless. So, my grandmother hired her as a nanny. I had calculated everything, but I had overlooked my grandmother. In my previous life, my grandmother lived in the countryside and seldom came to our house, and she had only seen Xiaowan a few times. However, previously, because Xiaowan cried about her clothes being old and tattered, and how she was ridiculed at school. She wanted my mom to take her shopping for new clothes. During the shopping trip, there was an accident. A motorcycle with failed brakes sped uncontrollably towards them. My mom was hit while trying to protect Xiaowan and suffered a miscarriage. The child was already well formed at 5 months. It was the grandson my grandmother had longed for. From then on, my grandmother detested Xiaowan, always looked at her coldly, and almost considered putting her up for adoption. It was an accidental fall down the stairs followed by a heart attack that led to my grandmother's death. We all thought it was an accident. Only after I died did I learn that it was Xiaowan who had pushed her. She also intentionally hid my grandmother's medicine. Even my mom's miscarriage was her doing. She feared that if my parents had a second child, they would send her away. So she paid a thug from a nearby village to cut the brake lines and hit my mom. That motorcycle was indeed aimed at my mom. My mom is straightforward and has always been overly protected by my dad, so much so that when she returned home after getting her nails done, she didn't even notice there was an extra nanny. It wasn't until dinner when I asked Xiaowan to serve me soup. As she was ladling the last spoonful, I accidentally stepped on her toe. She cried out in pain, and the bowl shook from her grasp, spilling hot soup onto the back of her hand. She let go in pain. The entire bowl of soup overturned on the table. The noise was so loud that instantly everyone's eyes turned to Xiaowan. My parents frowned. Xiaowan stood to the side, covering her hand, her eyes brimming with tears, yet she dared not let them fall. I spoke up. Sorry, I accidentally stepped on you just now. Are you okay? Though I asked if she was okay, it was clear she was not. Although she covered her hand, you could see it was badly scalded, reddened, and even blistering. I had also pressed hard on her toe when stepping on it. It must have been quite a sight. Tears fell from Xiaowan's eyes as she sobbed silently, unable to speak, just shaking her head. My mom scolded me perfunctorily. Grandma didn't have the heart to scold me and just took out 2 tubes of ointment from her bag for her. That evening, my dad went to Grandma's room. I secretly followed. They were indeed discussing Xiaowan. Mom, this nanny is too young and inexperienced. She can't even carry a bowl of soup properly, let's dismiss her tomorrow. If you want to thank her, just pay her more money. My dad is a man who can't stand flaws, whether in work or life. If Chia-won had been working in our house, she might have been dismissed right then, but I don't know what kind of spell Chia-won had cast on Grandma. My grandmother slapped the table in response. Listen to what you're saying, she saved me, how could I not pay her? It was Xiaofei who adamantly refused to accept money, saying that accepting money would change the nature of her good deeds. I heard she was dismissed, and I thought I could help her a bit by offering her a job, and even then, she wouldn't let me pay her a high salary. You guys are busy with work and can't keep me company, and you refuse to give me a grandson, insisting on going against me by adopting that jinx who brings disaster to her parents. At least Xiaofei can stay by my side every day and cheer me up, can you? Amidst Grandma's relentless questioning, my father had nothing more to say. I stood outside the door, feeling the whole situation was absurd. This time, Chia-won had simply changed her identity, yet Grandma defended her so vehemently. Such a thing would never have happened in my previous life. It seems I need to come up with a new strategy. Back in my bedroom, there was an uninvited guest. Chia-won sat boldly on my bed, casually surveying my room with her gaze. You recognize me, don't you, Shin Man? Hatred coiled around my neck like a venomous snake. I stared at Chia-won, silent. Chia-won hated me just as much. She slowly stood up and faced me. Did you think moving houses would get rid of me? Dream on. Your entire family met a tragic end at my hands in our past lives, and this time, none of you will escape. She really knew how to provoke me. Hatred and rage nearly consumed me. With all my strength, I slapped her across the face. How dare you? Chia-won took a moment to recover, then lifted her eyes, red and filled with intense hatred, to meet mine. Why shouldn't I dare? If it weren't for you, I would have been the one your parents adopted, and I wouldn't have dropped out of middle school or been tricked by my aunt into trading myself for a dowry. That man was a beast. I bore his children, yet he never treated me as a human being, even demanding that I serve him and his mistresses in bed. Her eyes reddened further, a crazed satisfaction evident in her expression. I killed them, but I know too well what life is like for a child with no father and a murderer for a mother, so I poisoned my 2 children and escaped. I wasn't surprised that Chia-won could do such a thing. She was always a cold-blooded and ruthless person. I scoffed sarcastically. Chia-won, don't make yourself out to be a martyr. Did you kill your own children because you feared they would be helpless in this world, or because you worried they would stain your life? I knew her better than she knew herself, having been by her side for 3 years after my death in our previous lives. Angered by my words, Chia-won glared fiercely at me. Shin Man, all of this should have been mine. If it weren't for me, you would have been kidnapped by traffickers long ago, never to be found again. You repay kindness with ingratitude, and you will suffer for it. Her last words were spoken through gritted teeth. After Chia-won left, the tension in my body suddenly released, and I collapsed to the floor. Painful memories from my past life overwhelmed me. As I lay there in agony, a shadow fell over me. I looked up with tearful eyes, meeting the gaze of Song Ziyuan. Song Ziyuan, in his crisp suit, looked dignified and elegant, as if he had just come from an event. He didn't ask any questions, just quietly stayed by my side. I wanted to say something to him, but I didn't know where to start. Eventually, I opened my mouth to speak but stopped myself in time. The experiences from my past life were too bitter and painful. I didn't want to burden him with them. In the end, I cried until I fell asleep on his shoulder. The next morning, I woke up to hear a significant incident had occurred at home. Chia-won, under the guise of bringing coffee, had gone to Song Ziyuan's room. After his shower, Song Ziyuan found her stripped and lying on his bed, which made him leave the house with a dark expression. Before leaving, he instructed the housekeeper to strip his room and redecorate. Upon learning this, my mother was so angry she had someone throw all of Chia-won's belongings out. Although Song Ziyuan was not my biological brother, my parents had long treated him as their own son, investing in him emotionally no less than they did in me. Outside, the rain poured heavily. Chia-won stood in the rain, crying and refusing to leave. Eventually, my mother had the security forcefully remove her. After returning from a spa day, grandmother and her old friends heard about the incident and directly accused my mother. What sins did I commit in my past life to have you as a daughter-in-law? Are you trying to kill me with anger? Back then, I advised against adopting that disaster, but you insisted. I urged you to have a second and third child. offering 5 million for each child, but you still refused. I now live separately from you all. I even hired a nanny, but you drove her away. Is that bed in the gloomy room inlaid with gold? What difference does lying on it make? If you hadn't adopted him back then, where would he be today? Grandma's voice was loud, and her words became harsher and harsher. But Grandma didn't realize that Song Ziyuan is now the apple of my mother's eye. She could criticize my mom, and my mom might let it go, but she couldn't insult Song Ziyuan. For the first time in her life, my mom had a huge argument with Grandma. My dad and I both sided with my mom. Angered, Grandma moved to a hotel that very day. The next day was my birthday banquet. Right up until the banquet was about to start, Grandma didn't show up. I thought Grandma was genuinely angry with me, but then, I learned she had an accident. The birthday celebration was abruptly cancelled. Our whole family rushed to the hospital. We found out that Grandma had been poisoned. She had ingested a large amount of a very potent rat poison. Her organs were failing rapidly due to the toxin. There was no turning back. Even with the best medical equipment, she had, at most, half an hour left. When I saw Grandma again, her hair was white and she looked frail and much older, lying weakly in the hospital bed. Tears streaming down her face, she gripped my hand, tightening her hold repeatedly. I couldn't hold back anymore and started to cry. Grandma, man, don't cry. Everyone has their day. It's all my fault. All my fault. Grandpa passed away early, and Grandma raised my dad alone. She had been strong all her life, and this was the first time I saw her cry. She settled her affairs with my dad and apologized to my mom. Finally, her gaze fell on Song Ziyuan. She motioned for Song Ziyuan to come closer and took his hand, her aged face covered in tears. Good child, actually. You did nothing wrong. Your parents' death wasn't your fault. Being adopted wasn't your fault. I spoke to you like that, yet you came to the hotel to warn me about Xiao Fei. You are truly a grandson sent from heaven to the Shin family. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Grandma cried in pain and regret, tears falling drop by drop. Choking up, Song Ziyuan said, "There's no need to apologize. In my heart, you are my grandma." Those words made Grandma tear up again. Until the last moment of her life, she struggled to take my hand. She placed my hand into Song Ziyuan's. She opened her mouth but made no sound. All the machines beeped once, turning into a straight line. My parents were inconsolable, and in her final moments, the words that Grandma and Song Ziyuan both saw, she said, "Take good care of Nan," before Grandma's funeral. The police investigated the circumstances of the poisoning. After moving to the hotel, Grandma had made a phone call to Xiao Wan. It's unknown what was discussed. Xiao Wan then moved into Grandma's suite with her luggage on the same day. Before my birthday banquet, Song Ziyuan went to the hotel to pick up Grandma. After seeing Xiao Wan, he warned Grandma to be cautious of her. Unfortunately, Xiao Wan overheard this. Xiao Wan put a large dose of rat poison in Song Ziyuan's coffee cup. Luckily, Song Ziyuan got a phone call just as he was about to drink it. After the call, seeing that Grandma was still upset and not wanting to be late for my birthday party, he hurriedly said goodbye and left. Distracted, Grandma drank the wrong coffee. After seeing Grandma collapse, Xiao Wan's first reaction wasn't to call an ambulance, but to run away. Finally, my parents and Song Ziyuan realized that Xiao Fei was Xiao Wan. Xiao Wan had been using a false identity. The trail soon went cold. The police immediately sealed off all transport exits. But even after 5 days of thorough investigation, Xiao Wan disappeared without a trace, as if she had vanished into thin air. Until this night, I was awakened from a deep sleep by thick smoke. The villa was ablaze with fire. I snapped awake from my sleep. I grabbed a towel, soaked it in water in the bathroom, and covered my nose and mouth as I opened the door to leave. But at the bedroom door, I saw Xiao Wan, torch in hand, looking like a madwoman. "Where do you think you're going, Shin Man?" Behind her, the fire roared fiercely, filling the air with dense smoke, and yet, there was a smile on her lips. Like a lunatic, I finally realized, "Have you been hiding in our house all this time, Shin Man?" Not too stupid, but it's a pity. In our past life, I tricked you into entering a burning building where you died. This time, you're going to burn to death again, Shin Man. No matter how smart you are, you can't change your own fate. After saying that, she threw the torch right in front of me. The flames burst into life with a loud bang. I was so frightened that I fell to the ground. Seeing me in such a sorry state, Xiao Wan suddenly started laughing. "Shin Man, my life might be over, but dragging you down with me doesn't seem too bad." When the flames between us grew taller than a person, I, who had been in a pitiful state, suddenly smiled and slowly stood up from the ground. Xiao Wan, aren't you curious? My parents and Song Ziyuan are all at home, and with such a big fire in the house, why aren't they coming to find me? The smile on Xiao Wan's face suddenly froze. She then realized that besides me, there was no one else in the house. Even the servants had vanished without a trace. Xiao Wan, we shall never meet again. After you die, I will spend a lot of money to hire monks and Taoist priests to liberate you, ensuring you will never rest in peace. After that, I pulled open the door of a nearby wardrobe and stepped inside. Behind me, Xiao Wan's screams tore through the air. Shen Man, you will not die a good death. I won't let you get away with this. I couldn't hear the rest of her words, because I had already left the villa with my family, who were hidden in the secret room. Only after the villa was reduced to ashes did we call the police. When building this villa, at my suggestion, a secret room was constructed on the lowest level. This room was made of special materials, fireproof and waterproof. Every closet in the villa had a hidden passage leading directly to this secret room. This passage was one-way and equipped with the highest level of facial recognition technology available on the market, ensuring identification under any circumstances. When the police were unable to catch Xiao Wan, I guessed that she must not have left. She must have been hiding somewhere close yet undetectable to us. I discussed countermeasures with my parents and Song Ziyuan immediately. I could have run away at the first sign of danger, but I was worried that Xiao Wan, realizing the house was empty, would escape from the fire, so I waited until the fire had spread to a point where she had no chance of escape. I wanted her dead. Only with her death could I have peace of mind. Throughout my life, I have always contemplated ways to kill Xiao Wan, to kill without leaving any evidence of the crime, but I also left her a way out. If she had been content with her situation and stopped bothering our family, I wouldn't have gone out of my way to kill her. After all, this life was obtained at the cost of my entire family dying once. She wasn't worth sacrificing the hard-earned life I now had. Unfortunately, she failed to see that. After she reappeared, I kept provoking her with small actions, inadvertently showing my fear of fire. She must have thought it was a residual phobia from being burned to death in a past life. That's why she wanted to burn me alive again. But even then, it wasn't guaranteed that Xiao Wan would become desperate enough to set the villa on fire, unless she was driven into a corner. Actually, I knew more about how Xiao Wan had been living these years than anyone else. Her dropping out was my doing. I also bribed her aunt to make her marry the family she married into. I had picked from nearly 100 villages for her. This family was notoriously twisted. Their previous daughter-in-law was driven to suicide by her cruel mother-in-law and 4 sisters-in-law. Her husband, spoiled since childhood, was otherwise decent, but that decency depended on there being no temptations. After she gave birth to a son, I sent 2 nightclub hostesses to her husband's workplace. I kept pushing her moral boundaries, until she became a desperate fugitive. Finally, everything has settled. From the 30th floor open-air restaurant, the river views of the city were all in sight. Song Ziyuan had made up for my missed birthday. After I made a wish, he handed me a gift. What did you wish for? I smiled, deciding to be straightforward. I hoped that Song Ziyuan and I would like each other and be together forever. Song Ziyuan's expression changed drastically, and it was too late to cover my mouth. He was incredibly frustrated. Now that you've said your wish out loud, it won't come true. I'll go buy another cake, and you can make a new wish. He said this as he hurriedly got up. I grabbed him quickly. Silly, I was just kidding. That wasn't my real wish. Come closer, I'll whisper it to you. Song Ziyuan was skeptical but still leaned in close. I planted a kiss right on his cheek. His cheeks, along with the tips of his ears, instantly flushed red. I spoke softly. I wasn't lying just now, Song Ziyuan. I've liked you since we were little. My parents know that I like you too. What about you? Do you like me? Song Ziyuan met my gaze with his beautiful eyes. Under my intense gaze, he wrapped his hand around the back of my head and pressed his lips to mine. He covered my eyes with his palm, kissing me tenderly and earnestly. I couldn't help but smile. It turns out, even if one's eyes are covered, the essence of love still overflows from the heart.